everyone, it's Marie here, welcome back to my channel. I'm sharing with you a process video today using the new Love Easter cut file from the shop. I will leave a link to the cut file down below. I love this one, it's so much fun. Carrots and gonks are some of my favourite things around Easter. And I wanted to kind of go really in keeping with the file and the photographs there of my son last Easter, following his Easter egg hunt around the garden. And I wanted to try and do really lovely bright colours, and I wanted to match the colours to those in the photograph. I didn't want black and white photographs for this, I wanted all the colour. So I decided to back the carrots as they are in orange, and then I used lots of lovely other bright colours to back the rest of the cut file using all Paige Evans papers from a mixture of her collections. I know I'm definitely got some papers in there from the new one, the Blooming Wild collection, and there are some older ones too from my stash. A lot of, especially Blooming Wild, it matches in with the previous one of her collections, doesn't it? So I've just kind of mixed and matched all those things together. I think there might also even be a piece of colour study in there from Vicky Bootin as well. I'm now using one of the new stencils from the shop. This stencil is covered in little teeny tiny patterned eggs and then mini, really small eggs as well. And I'm using that behind each one of the letters in a sort of tone on tone way, so using the green, the orange, the yellow, and then in a second you'll see me use a little bit of pink as well. I don't want the eggs all over, just want kind of a hint of them sticking out from behind where the letters are. And I love that effect. So I'm just using 4 of my Distress Oxides and my little alt new brushes. So I've got Mowed Lawn, Mustard Seed, I've got Picked Raspberry, and I've got Ripe Persimmon as well as my 4 colours. So I'm just now going to pop a little bit of pink on there as well, just a hint behind where that L sits. So I'm not putting too much ink on, and I'll let some of them be more faded than others. And I love the way that looks. So now I'm just going to pop some cardstock behind my photographs. I'm going to go with yellow for one of them and green for the other, just to tie in the colours that I've used to back the cut file as well. You'll notice I did back the cut file, the eggs that the little gonk is holding, I did back those with some dark blue. That's because the majority of the eggs that are in Elliot's basket are sort of Cadbury's eggs, so they've got like dark purpley blue wrapping. So I wanted to sort of bring a little bit of that colour in as well from the photos. Now just going to stick loads and loads of adhesive foam pads. I like these bigger sized foam pads, especially for big cut files. They are super easy to put on and super easy to peel as well, and it just doesn't take as long to peel them off. And I love to put foam behind photographs and behind cut files, just get that extra bit of dimension. When you've got that, you end up with just a small shadow on the page, and I like the effect that gives. So I'm just going to pop that down right about there, and then what I'm going to do is I do find a sticker here at this point. I've started coming through some of my stickers, trying to find what I'm going to do in terms of what else I'm going to put on. I did like that, having so much fun, that long title, but it just seemed too long, so that comes back off again. And then I've decided that my title is going to be Love Easter. So I take these multicoloured tiny foam alphas in the same colours as the cut file, and I start popping those on, but I decide that it looks a little bit lost eventually, and I do actually move that word Easter, but you'll see me move that in a little while. And I start playing with a few embellishments and decide that they're not quite big enough, so they come back off again. I wasn't happy with how they looked. They weren't substantial enough. The cut file itself is quite large, so I wanted to make sure that I chose things that were going to work because they were big enough. So at the moment, just trying different things. I love the idea of having these rainbows, and whilst that one doesn't stay there, I do eventually end up going with rainbows and butterflies. So I'm just flicking through everything that I've got from these collections. I keep all my collections in little drawers, so I've pulled out the drawer for this collection. And although I love the flowers, it just didn't work up there. I couldn't make the flowers work on this one. I even tried cutting some up and sticking them around the letters, and they just didn't quite go for me. So they go back in the drawer in just a second, and then I swapped to doing something completely different. it was like the smallest embellishments were too small, and then those bigger ones were too big. And I just hadn't quite figured out what was going to work. So I sit and look at it for a few minutes, and then I decide that I'm going to go with some, I do try some torn paper strips on the page. And I was planning on putting a couple of different colours down at the top and the bottom. And in the end, I changed my mind entirely and don't put them on. So it's, this is a real process video. This is me going through all the stages of trying to decide what I'm going to do for this page. I knew it needed something else. At this point, I just hadn't found what it needed. And that's okay. With pages, I sometimes watch process videos and go, gosh, how did that person come up with that so quickly? And it's just not, that's not how my brain works. I can tend to, very occasionally that happens, but the majority of the time it is me going round in circles trying to work out what I like and what works best and what looks right to me. So you can see already I'm moving this word Easter, and there it goes over to the left hand side, because that's where it looked best to me. And I'm still looking at it going, no, it's still not right. I'm not quite happy with this, don't quite know what I'm going to do. So I've got the paper strips at the top, but yeah, in the end they don't make it to the final page. It's just not quite what I was looking for, and I couldn't work out why. I still couldn't tell you why it didn't work, but it wasn't quite right. So they do not make it, but I do find something that does. So I'm going to start playing with other embellishments now, and I find this sheet of butterflies that I've already fussy cut for another layout. I don't think I've shared that yet, but already fussy cut a whole load of these for different layout, and I decide that they are the perfect size. They're not too big, they're not too small. They do come in different sizes, so I can fussy cut round those and pop some of those on, and that's what works. And I can put them all kind of joined to little angles, and I really like the way they look, and I can also colour match them to the rest of the layout as well. So I'm just fussy cutting a few of those. As you can see, they're not exactly the same colour as the letters and the papers that I've backed the letters with, but actually they look perfect as they are, because they are just that slightly different shade, so they stand out, but they do match in as well, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Decided also to fussy cut some little rainbows from another sheet of the paper. The butterflies and the rainbows are both from the Blooming Wild collection, which is the new one from Paige Evans. And I'm just deciding where to tuck these little rainbows in. I had also pulled out a whole load of Easter things that I have in my stash from a couple of years ago, and the colours on that collection were much more pastel-y, and they didn't work. It wasn't right for the page, and decided, no, I'm going to use the brighter colours for these collections, and not worry that it's not Easter themed and they're not necessarily haven't got any other eggs on there or anything, but we'll just go with it. I like the way it turns out. The eggs in the background and the little gnome are enough of that Easter, that nod to Easter. So just deciding to fussy cut an extra couple of butterflies here, because I felt I needed another yellow one. Not sure if I put another orange one on there or not. There we go, another little pink one at the bottom. And you can see me, I was still umming and ahhing about that strip of yellow paper, whether to put that at the bottom or not. But I decide, no, it's not going on. So I've pulled out my silicone glue gel, which is a dimensional gel, and I put big blobs of it on the backs of the butterflies, and then basically you can have it so that there's more glue under the wings and less under the body, so that it looks like the butterfly is sort of taking off from the page, and I really like that effect. And I'm doing the same with the rainbows, just to give them a little bit of dimension. And then what I've realised is I haven't actually stuck my photographs down, so I'm just going to pop a little piece of foam underneath both of them. This is adhesive foam, so I've just kind of stuck them down in situ. The foam only has sticky on one side, so I've added a bit of glue in there as well. And the last thing I decide to do is to put some paint splatters on here. I think I might just be cutting out another butterfly. I can never have too many butterflies. I love butterflies. And once I get started fussy cutting them, I tend to end up fussy cutting loads of them. So yeah, my last step here now is to add some watercolour. These are from a company called Campbella on... No, I don't think they're on Etsy. I think they just have their own websites here in the UK. And they're beautiful. All the colours are super shimmery. They're absolutely beautiful. So I've got a pink, a green and a gold here that I got at a recent go-go retreat that I've been to. And I've literally just splattered some on around each of the letters, and then I'm just adding some slightly bigger blobs with my paintbrush as well. And there it is. There is my layout. Thank you ever so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's inspired you to create some fun Eastery layouts. Keep watching for some close-ups. Like I said, thank you for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye for now.